Good afternoon, neighbors. June Margolin from Huntington Matters here. We are here with our next installment of the election 2025 candidate interviews. We have 4 total today. Cooper is number 3. We have another one tonight at 5 o'clock. I think, yeah, 5 o'clock.
7, 8.
Tonight. So Donna Richter is behind the camera tonight and today. And then Diane Shaver is in the other room monitoring the audio. And we have Megan Rouse here from our moderating team joining us today too. Cooper, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate it. We love chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the air live.
Great. Yeah, this is so fun. All right, let's dive in. Tell us about yourself and why you decided to step forward to serve our community as town supervisor.
So for those of you who don't know, my name is Cooper Macco. I'm a resident of Huntington, as I've been my entire life. I grew up not far from here in Hale Site and then moved to Lloyd Harbor, having attended both Huntington and Cold Spring Harbor public schools before I graduated Cold Spring Harbor. Went to Long Island University, studied math, where I got involved in tutoring children. Thought I was going to become a teacher, but ultimately pivoted into bankruptcy. And I went to law school at St. John's.
Oh, I guess math would bring you there.
Well, I don't know. You never know. Math is, I wanted to be a math teacher, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
But so I went to law school and really focused on bankruptcy. When I graduated law school and came back out to Long Island, I started serving people in the community who are, unable to pay their bills as they come due, are, maybe facing foreclosure or repossession. And I help these individuals every day deal with their creditors and come out the other side, emerge from their debts in a way that, really makes me feel good, but also I provide a service. So it's not totally altruistic, obviously. But it's opened my eyes to a lot of issues that Long Islanders, people in Suffolk County and people in Huntington are facing. And that's, that's an important thing, because I think a lot of people in our area don't see a lot of the issues that aren't in their tiny little pocket. And so having that kind of exposure, which is jarring in a lot of ways, people come in, they start crying, I'm talking to them, not psychoanalyzing, but they're often at their lowest point. And that really motivates you as someone who wants to help to try and do what you can. And that's why I got involved running for this election, because I want to serve the community. I'm a part of the community. I've always been a part of the community. I was raised here. I'm raising my own kids here. I hope they will stay and raise their kids here. And that's a real big, honor to me. That I even get to run for this office is a tremendous honor, because it means that some people have already put their trust in me and know that I will lead us in the path that we collectively need as a town. So I'm honored to be running. I'm going to be honored to serve if I'm elected. And I look forward to creating a better Huntington for all of us. I love Huntington. You've seen me at civic organizations from the Chamber of Commerce, the Lawyers Club, the Suffolk County Bar Association. You probably haven't seen me at.
No, we don't do the lawyer thing.
But
we worked in that building once for a workshop. It's a nice building.
It actually is a very nice building, and they have a beautiful auditorium they use for CLE stuff. But it's right by my office is right there, so I tend to go for lunch and learns, really for the lunch. But don't tell me.
So what hamlet do you live in, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in Hale Site. So I live in Hale Site, which is.
You're in the Huntington School District.
I am in the Huntington School District. So
Go Blue Devils.
Go Blue Devils.
I lived there for a little while.
I lived in. So I grew up on.
I had a rental there.
All right. Where's your rental?
LaRue.
Okay. Yeah. No. So I grew up on Bay Avenue in Hale Site before I moved to South Down Road.
Oh wow.
LaRue is off of, and now I live back in Hale Site. So it really have gone. If I was in better shape, I could do a nice run jog across all my houses. But unfortunately, I just drive by them and wave as I go.
You can point them out to your kids, though.
I do every time.
All right. What have you accomplished in your elected position or work experience or volunteer experience that you are the most proud of that directly benefits our community?
Yeah, I think the number one thing I'm proud of, and I touched on it a little bit before, is that one thing that people don't realize about the practice of law, and really the bankruptcy practice, is that every day I go help someone save their home. I help them avoid foreclosure. I help get them back on track with their mortgage through reinstating it in a bankruptcy or modifying it. And people come in and they're like, I don't want to be kicked out of my home. I raise my kids there. I hit a hiccup I'm back on track now. How do I get back on track? And being able to help them do that, people are so incredibly grateful. Everyone, we live on Long Island. The home values here are astronomical. It's often people's biggest investment, and quite frankly, it's their retirement in a lot of ways. And being able to save that and serve the community that way is heartwarming. I mean, I come out the other end of those meetings, and I feel good. I'm always happy to do that, and I think that's important.
Are you seeing an uptick in the bankruptcy cases?
So they are. Yeah, so obviously before 2020, they were on the rise. Actually in 2020, and because of a lot of successful bailouts by the federal government, they actually dropped very quickly, both on the business side and the personal side. Unfortunately now, given that the inflation is still relatively high and the cost of living and everything else has increased a lot, we're actually back to pre-pandemic levels, which is concerning because that's sort of the that's sort of the marker that worse times are coming, unfortunately. And it's interesting now, what we're seeing more than anything else is that small businesses who either tried and failed in the pandemic or survived the pandemic and then failed have burdened individuals with massive loans to the SBA. And it is the number one thing that people reach out. The SBA, the economic injury disaster loans, are the number one thing people reach out to me. And it's, federal government was quite frankly giving out a lot of money with sort of unfettered access for individuals, some of which borrowed substantially more than they may have needed. And now it's something that is going to continue to haunt them. So it is something that we're seeing a lot of, and we're going to see way more before we see less. Those were 30-year loans, and we're going to see the repercussions of them for the next 30 years. And some people say, well, I'll just bury my head in the sand. They don't tell you if the SBA will garnish your Social Security. So you really have to deal with that.
Because they're a government organization.
Federal government. Yeah, it's really, really alarming. So
that's alarming.
Yep.
Right. Thanks for that. What do you have to say to disengaged voters who think their vote doesn't matter, and how will you inspire them to get to the polls? That's Megan's question.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to say to all disengaged voters, shame on you. Come out and vote. It's your civic obligation. It's not a big ask. We have more ways to vote now than ever before. Early voting starts on October 25th. You can vote right through the 2nd. Election day is November 4th. I think you may still be able to request an absentee ballot maybe till the end of this week. I'm not totally positive about that, but it is really a minor ask. And by doing nothing, you are not voicing how you think your concerns. You're not voicing your choice. And quite frankly, if you don't go vote, I don't want to hear any complaints. You don't get to complain if you don't voice your vote because you're too apathetic to come out one day a year. It's really a shame. But in local elections particularly, there's a lot more, and I'm going to say nonpartisan issues that affect your day to day.
Right.
And you never have better access to candidates than you do to local candidates. You'll see me in King Cullen and Hale-Say. Yep. You'll see me, at Pasito, not far from here, or up at the Big H in Home Depot. And you can say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on with this? You have such access. It's really such a gift to have these local elections, particularly this year. This is the last year we'll have local elections on odd years. And you really can get your voice out there about local issues after this election cycle. They're going to move to.
It's totally not ever going to be contested. You think this is a done deal? That's it.
So it was contested. It went to the highest court in New York State. New York State decided it yesterday.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is not going back. That's more work for you, but
you're gonna have to do 36 interviews in a row, and you guys are gonna have to watch 36 hours of footage for all the candidates.
I think you just do a marathon, just right through. Get someone on the cause, like the PBS telethons.
Who's sponsoring today? This coffee shop, that coffee shop.
But yeah, so I would tell you that if you're worried about local issues, if you're worried about federal issues, vote in this election, because your local government is the first line of defense from federal cuts, as well as your first line of offense for getting federal, state, and county grants, which are still coming out. We have no federal government that's active right now. You need strong local government to get county and state grants while we can. If you don't have strong advocates, we are going to flounder. Everyone is in that exact same situation. Sometimes the loudest voice does get the most access. You know, say, what's it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, grease, whatever.
My
same thing.
grandmother was
But it's important. So I may be talking a lot, but just remember, this is how much I will be talking when I'm fighting for you with Suffolk County, with New York State, and when they get back and, around to it, the federal government.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. And then that's how we got our 66 billion in sewers, is because of our advocates.
100%. Yeah.
And that it didn't come out of taxpayer pop.
It does, but not directly. Not
with an increase in our
Yeah.
taxes. All right, great. Let's talk parking. No lies. Magic wand. If you could guarantee to get exactly what you want right away, what is something you would fix or improve in the town of Huntington? And what is something you never want to make changes to?
Well, I'm going to start kind of in two parts, because something I could do right away is move the town to an online checkbook. We need better transparency. We need to see where money is going. The process of moving that over and making it so that residents can see every dollar the town is spending is very simple. It would take, I've spoken to people who are much smarter than me about it, and they say the software the town's on can easily be adapted to do that. Other towns, other municipalities already have things like that. It's actually something our current supervisor ran on in 2017 and is yet to deliver. So it is really important that we move forward with that, because it takes a lot of questions out. You don't ever want to be sitting on the town board or any elected position and have to answer questions because people think you're mismanaging money. It's always the number one concern. So having an online checkbook just adds that layer, that safety net to the residents so they can see it.
Does Oyster Bay do that? Isn't there a local one that does that? Someone pretty close to us does that.
Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I
think I remember it was like a huge deal that they did that. Yeah, there is some close township that does that.
It's not as crazy as a thing as it may sound. So that's the first thing I would do, because that's an easy thing to adopt right away. If what's one thing I would never make a change to, it would be access to our waterways. We have great beaches in the town. I would love to expand that. I would love to improve that, but I would not want to limit that access. Right now, Huntington is great. We have a lot of beaches, a lot of parks. What we don't have is a lot of waterfront activity areas. We have none of that. So I would be looking to expand that, because we have one of the few harbors that people come into from Connecticut. And where do they go? They go to Prime, because it's the only place they can. We don't capture that to come into the village. Northport does a little bit. We only have one town dock in Northport. It's hard to tie up to. We have no moorings or no tender service off of Crab Meadow, which has a restaurant, which also would bring people in. So really access to these waterfronts and preserving our clean water in a way that makes sure we don't change anything with that, because that's a concern. I love the beaches and the waterways. I'm a boater. I want my kids to be able to use the beaches and waterways as they presently exist, if not more expanded. So something like that is, it might not be the answer you're looking for, but that's something I don't want to change.
Isn't the bulkhead that they just did at Haleside, isn't there something? There's something with that, where there's that thing where boaters can come up and can come
so that dock's always been there. That dock's always been there. My family lives not far from there. It's not done yet.
No,
it's been, I know our
been
supervisor says it's not taking as long as we clearly remember it, but that park has been in limbo, and for whatever reason, it's taken a lot longer. That dock right there is not a real transient dock. So it's not, you can't pay the town to stay on that dock. That's like tie up, get off, stay in the park, and then get on your boat. You can't leave your boat there, which creates a little bit of an issue, because, it's not,
so many spots.
not even that, but it's not bringing more money into the town, because you're not paying for it. You're not coming to our local small businesses. You're not spending money in, unless you're walking to Caruso's or the Bay Deli, which is great. But that's really the limit of it. So we could see more development, businesses focused down there, or we could start running more shuttles to and from that area.
Yeah, love that.
And do that also, because it'd be great. Right now, the only thing people use that dock for, or until before the bulkhead was rehabbed, was often you would see a lot of people squid fishing there. Squidding. You might not see it because it happens in the middle of the night with generators and spotlights, but they would often squid fish off the hillside.
What is squidding? We have squid
here? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If you ever drive along East Shore Road, let's say after Thanksgiving in the night, you'll see boats out there with their lights on. They're also squidding.
Wow. Interesting. Fascinating. Wow. Cool. All right. The real questions are.
Well, I gotta go. No.
I just want you to say you should sit and talk to Keith Brown, because he's planning something pretty remarkable down there with all kinds of. I'm sure you're aware of it already, but I think it's gonna
If and when it
If and
happens.
when it
If and when it happens. He's been talking about that for a long
The
time.
Needstown board.
I would love
tie-in, and it's some of what you talk about is part of that plan. So that would be very cool.
Yeah,
That
and
would be there to work together.
intermunicipality agreements like that, even
exactly.
across the aisle. You know,
Yeah.
I know Keith. That's important.
Yeah.
Right. That's bipartisan
Yeah.
leadership
That's
that we
how
need.
the town stays healthy.
100%.
You know? All right, let's talk parking. Huntington Village has become a huge cultural and economic hub with people coming in from all over the region, Connecticut included, but limited parking and traffic congestion are the result. What is your plan to improve parking and traffic flow, not just in Huntington Village, but in other overcrowded hamlets like Cold Spring Harbor and Northport, while still supporting our local businesses?
Right. So I think those are two very distinct issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have traffic and congestion,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have parking issues. And let's deal with the traffic and congestion, because everyone loves to say, oh, it's, you know, deliveries and it's people sightseeing. I have a different theory. I think it's food delivery. We have more food delivery access. We are a bustling food town in Huntington. We have a lot of food delivery services, not, you know, in-house delivery like we used to have, but DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. And what happens is these drivers will come in and double park in an effort to quickly get in and out without paying for parking or you know, moving further away from the restaurant. What happens is we're blocking streets. We're causing drivers to pull into oncoming traffic to get around with them. Why is no one cracking down on double parking in these business districts? Why are we letting dangerous road conditions continue? We should be double or tripling the fines on food delivery and then carving out one spot in each lot for food delivery drivers that get a separate permit to park there so they don't have to access it. But we cannot sit idly by and let these food delivery drivers continue to block traffic. It's a public it's a real public concern. And it's
living where you live, I know why you're so passionate about it, because it's right down the street from you. And I'm sure you get stuck constantly.
I get stuck constantly, but it's everywhere. It's not just Huntington, it's Green Lawn, it's Northport. And it's people love food and they love delivering it and they love getting it delivered, but that shouldn't come at the cost of public safety. No one should be in a car driving into oncoming traffic to get across 25A. It really is scary. I don't know where public safety is with their patrols on that, but I would really think we need to crack down on that with heavier patrols, more focus on double parking, because that really, on 25A too, that really congests everything. If you have someone double parking on 25A, it goes from 2 lanes to 1 in Huntington Village. That is half the amount of traffic. Cars are making lefts. It's dangerous. We can't let that linger any longer. You know, as to the parking issue, first of all, we need to simplify parking. We've gone through so many iterations in the past decade. When I first came out of law school and got involved with the Chamber of Commerce, we had meetings every year on the parking situation. We had the town and the state and the county come in and give us joint presentations on the possibility of a parking garage, the parking studies, the multiple parking studies, and then nothing ever happened. I don't know why. I don't know where it went, but right now, all we did was move off of meters, which quite frankly, everyone knew how to use, to a muni-meter system, which confused people, caused an uproar. That didn't last more than a few years. Then we just switched again to a different agency. I find it very confusing that every zone we use is the zip code. It's almost like our zip codes. I'm like, what are we doing here? So it's just gotten so confusing. We need to simplify it. And I think the way to simplify it is annual parking permits. Town residents using annual parking permits. We sell annual train parking permits. We sell annual beach permits. And you know, both those permits use license plate readers to determine if you have one or not. We have the technology already in place. It's about repurposing it. Sell annual parking permits to residents, discounts to seniors, first responders, in order to incentivize people to get more involved in the community. Let people from outside the town of Huntington pay through regular muni meters or other parking permits. And with an increase in public safety patrols and license plate readers, attack people who are illegally parking. I'm going to tell you all a secret. Everyone out there, I often park without paying. I almost never get it. I have not gotten a ticket in the town. Actually, the only ticket I got in the town was for parking without a permit when I actually had a permit. So I'm not even sure what they're patrolling. But Why are we letting these issues kind of go? It's hard. I don't know. Maybe it's the technology and how they're keeping track of where people are parking in streets, or, it's not easy to see with the green red that we used to have with the regular meters. Maybe it's harder to ticket that because you have to go around, but we have to do a better job, because I don't pay $20 a year in parking fees in the town of Huntington.
Right.
I'd pay $20 a year in a parking permit so I don't get a $75 ticket.
Yeah.
I'd pay $75 to not get a $75 ticket twice. And people are worried about turnover. We can always designate an overnight lot and a non-overnight lot, right? We don't need to have overnight parking everywhere in the town.
Right.
That's not to say that we shouldn't have it in some places. You don't want people to go out into a restaurant and overindulge and then feel like they have to move their car. You never want that. But it's about where we can find creative solutions. We're not finding creative solutions. We just keep rehashing the same things over and over and expecting a better result. It's not the right way to do this.
All right. Very thorough answer. Very interesting. I like it. All right. Housing and development. The number one question we are asked: what can the candidates do to bring in more workforce and actually affordable housing for our graduates and seniors? How do you plan to encourage developers to build for this underserved group? So the actually affordable means that even with the affordable housing formula, the 20% discount, even that rent is too high.
Okay.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, I believe that.
How do we figure out how to provide housing options for?
I'm gonna tell you.
Go ahead.
It's more housing. How do you get the housing prices down? It's increased supply. We have a very limited number of housing. We have a very limited number of accessory dwelling units right now.
Yes.
We were looking to expand that several years ago, got a lot of pushback, and we withdrew that legislation. But without more options like that, the market is free to continue to climb, because it is really, really tough to find people with two family houses that are willing to rent, or an accessory building that someone could rent, or even new construction without it being astronomically expensive, because they control the market. They dictate that. Right. No one's talking about illegal, dangerous basement apartments. We're about regulated apartments that the inspectors are going to come in and make sure they comply with codes and pass an inspection. That's the concern here, right? Safety in basement apartments. And this is a way to bring it into the sunlight. Don't shy away from these issues. Legalize it, and let's make sure we do the proper inspections. That way no one's at risk living in a basement apartment that they're not going to be able to exit in a fire. No one's at risk that they're going to suffocate because there's no CO2 monitor in there. We need to be more creative. We can't just say that's never going to happen. So the way to do it is not flood the market, but increase the market. We don't have a lot. And it's easy to say, well, you know what? We're going to build a bunch of housing down in Melville. But that's all new housing. Right. Even affordable housing there, it's all going to be new housing. It's all going to be dealing with the same with Huntington Station. It's going to be dealing with a different price point to a certain extent. We need a more diverse housing opportunity. And that includes accessory dwelling units. That includes, studios, studio apartments. And we can do it in a way that's safe. And we can do it in a way that, quite frankly, is going to increase revenue to the town by increased permit costs and increase inspection costs. Right. And it shouldn't
cover the town's expenses for doing it.
Certainly cover it. It shouldn't be a dirty word. I'm tired that people are so scared to talk about accessory dwelling units. And I think that, the other side of it is we have an opportunity in Huntington because we are like an hour from the city. If you're on a hybrid work schedule, this is a great place to live, because, hey, you don't have to sit on a train for an hour every day. You can have all the perks of Huntington, take the train in for 1 hour, 2 or 3 times a week, and still be in Huntington. And the expansion of hybrid and remote work certainly increases where people live, but we are a key place for hybrid work. We have a key opportunity with Huntington Station for transit-focused work. We have to approve projects that are going to, help everyone. We have to help build more housing so that people can move back. A lot of people in my generation have left, and they have no intention of coming back, put their price out of the market. And that's not the purchase market. That's the rental market. That's the purchase market. These are people with, careers and kids that don't want to move back home with their parents and raise their family in a house that they grew up in a lot of times. That's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't feel like progress when that's happening. So we need to be more creative with those solutions. Just the good news for that is if we expand accessory dwelling units, it's going to increase revenue to seniors who are
Right.
on a fixed income. It's going to help them age in place.
Right.
You know, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't also be building some new housing to let seniors who are looking to downsize do it, because then we can get that house back on the market. The housing market now is very limited here.
It is very, the stock is so limited.
And that's
like
because,
one apartment's up and it's gone in an hour.
and I have clients come into my office and they'll say, you know, I have a house, it's too big. My taxes are, you know, $20,000 a year. He goes, but if I move into another apartment, if I rent an apartment, I'm going to pay more than that and I'm going to have less. So we need to find a better solution. And right now the town hasn't approved those type of, A, they haven't approved the ADU expansion. B,
Right.
they haven't approved.
And we had basement apartments for like 50 years.
Yeah, and we haven't approved
Like legal.
legal basement.
Legal, yeah.
And we haven't approved, you know, more housing options. Even the housing options we have, which the town puts in the first pages of their budget, saying, look at all these great development projects we have.
Yeah.
The current town board voted all against. They're all against that issue. You know, Ed, my opponent, very clearly points to the fact he voted against Winnetonka Court and says, I mean, that's a great housing, you know, situation that's expanding options.
Yeah.
It may not be everyone's favorite, but we need more stock. And without some kind of movement, we're not going to see that.
And you know, you can't build a legal 2 here anymore.
Okay.
No new duplexes in the town of Huntington since, I think it was the 80s.
Okay.
So the only existing ones are the ones that are left. That's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you allowed people to do that, that would be.
That's an interesting
But then
thing
that
too.
opens up something else, because then that means that you don't have to live there to rent out the whole house.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking really about
But
owner-occupied
you
rentals.
could-
I'm talking really more about to help
More
ease.
reasonable price, right.
Yeah, I'm really talking about easing the owner's tax burden
Yeah,
by bringing in
definitely.
additional.
Definitely. All right. So I don't know if we touched on this in the prior question. If we have, you can just say so. All of the candidates have stated that they're against developing, but also have stated that they're in favor of creating housing for seniors and young adults who can't afford to stay in Huntington. What is your plan to accommodate both interest groups? So if you feel like you already answered it.
I just want to say, I have not said I'm against development. Good. That is not something that's been part of my campaign. And, you know, oftentimes people in my own party raise that issue with me, and it's not something that I'm willing to negotiate on. So I can understand that's a big topic in the town board debates.
Generally,
that's not part of my platform, and it has not been. I think we sort of talked about it, but just with young adults, and it's something we've seen now in places like Charlotte and Austin and Nashville. We have community housing, 1-bedroom and studio apartments with combined amenities that entice young professionals to move in, because it sort of mimics dorm life. Maybe there's a pool, maybe there's a grill area, combined amenities that help, combined amenities, which help reduce the cost and get young people to come back. I would love to see those projects. I would love to see part of Melville made into those projects. Those burdens are often very light on, you know, the school district, because the young people don't have it before they have kids. You know, studio apartments and 1-bedrooms really don't cater to families or school-age kids as much as you would think. So having or trying to promote developments that are looking to do that are going to help, because we need to keep, it's really, really a good opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Melville Town Center.
Yep.
Now that the developers have submitted their plans, begun to submit their plans for the Melville Town Center, how do you plan to keep the hearings for each project fair and above reproach? Yeah,
I mean, I think you have to look at, unfortunately, the way that plan is written, you have to look at each individual plan in a vacuum. But that's not to say that we shouldn't be looking at the grand scope of this when it's done. I think it's important that when developers come and are looking to develop Melville, and I would love to see that develop. That space has been vacant for a long time. I think it's important that we have a balance between, you know, how much housing we're putting on and what kind of area we are. And I would love to have developers come in and say, I want to deal with the town in a way that I can buy some more property and contribute it back to the town to create a park, you know, open space in that area. There's no parks in that area. It's an industrial park. We don't have the ability to buy that without, you know, going through, you know, an ESPA appraisal and doing it through the environmental open space section. It's a lot harder. If a developer comes in and says, I'm buying, you know, let's say, let's say I'm putting 25% of the units for whatever the 1,500 units, and I have 25% of the real property of the acreage, I'm going to donate back, you know, a little bit to the park, because that's going to help, and it's going to take time, right? We have to kind of I don't know what the word is, I don't know, let nature take it back a little bit. But I think we need to have an area that's not just
parking lot.
right? We can't, we can build a park. We certainly build a park. We've seen great progress with that, out in Brooklyn on the piers. They've built beautiful parks and turf fields. And I think that it would be nice to have that as a component of this, not a, developer-owned park for this area, but a town park that the developer has given to us in good faith. And I think it, would help, quite frankly, sell the community area around it, a lot of people are opposed to that project. Whichever way they feel, as long as they can see that we're working towards a common good, that's important.
To bring what they like, amenities that the neighbors want.
But I also think it's a concern, because we just want to make sure that no development is going to really affect the environment we don't want to make it a detriment to the actual environment. So it's a fine line. We don't have any studies on how these developments are going to affect as a whole, how 1,500 units are going to affect the area on a whole, first responders, infrastructure, because no one did those studies before they approved it. So that may have been a ball dropped with the town board, but we are where we are at now. We need to push forward, and they're going to start taking they've already started taking applications.
Yeah, they started. I think the challenge is that it's an overlay district. It's not a specifically zoned district for the residential. So any one of those properties can stay industrial.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing,
the choice that they have, those developers.
Well,
because they're already all owned. Every lot in the area is owned.
And what concerns me about that is, I don't want it to be a race, right? I don't want it to be first in time. I've now squatted on this entire area, because the last thing we want to see is one parcel developed, hit 400, and then nothing happens again.
Correct.
That is the worst case. And quite frankly,
doesn't want that either. I think they agree with. I think
but
they talked about it in the meetings that they don't want Swiss cheese.
But the problem we have is right now the project that's approved, which I think is relatively good, is 400 units, right? On 10% it's 27% of the housing on 10% of the acreage. So at that point, if I'm the next developer, I say, well, I'm only going to get so much. How much is my acreage? So it's really a balancing act. I wish it was done differently. It wasn't. I don't know how we resolve that, but I think everything has to be looked at in the vacuum. And I really would hope as developers come to the town and say, I want to do this in a way that we are going to improve the town. And here's why there's going to be an improvement to the town while preserving the environmental impact. So.
Yeah. Great. All right. So we have quite a few questions left, and we have some time, but I want you to pick, actually.
You go, whichever one. No.
So this one was, the residents frequently express frustration with the responsiveness of the town, particularly regarding illegal housing, illegal apartments, and rundown properties. What specific changes would you implement to make the town more proactive, efficient, and effective in addressing violations?
All right, a couple things. Sometimes, I remember what this said before, but sometimes zombie homes or blighted homes are still.
But we don't have them as much. Do you think we do? I mean,
no,
from your standpoint,
I don't think we do, but I am able to talk about them a little bit.
Great,
but I mean, those, right. So people are the owners of these houses, and they have ownership rights, right? The town's not coming to take care of them. They can fine them for failing to do that, but that falls into state court and foreclosure or Suffolk County lien foreclosure. So to the extent the town can do anything, it's about being more responsive and getting a quicker turnover rate on that, which goes back to public safety and code enforcement patrols and expanding that. So, sorry, I did that quickly to go.
No, that was good. That was good. All right, and then transparency and public engagement. How would you take advantage of technology? And because this seems to be something that you have ideas about, and new communication strategies to increase transparency in town government and make it easier for busy residents to stay informed and participate in the decision-making process.
Yep. First of all, I think we already talked about one of them with the online.
Are you the youngest one running?
I am the youngest one running.
Okay, so you're most tech
I look
connected.
terrible. My kids have aged me in a snapshot.
No.
Yeah. I'm not even 40 yet, but my wife is 40. Shout out, Liz. I hope she's watching.
You'll know now when you go home.
That'll be online forever.
People don't forget. But yeah, I think we need to do the thing I like more, and it's not technology, but maybe it could be implemented, is we need more community advisory boards. We need more citizen advisory boards. Before we're making drastic changes, we need a real focus group on what the citizens are doing. Right now, unfortunately, citizens come up, they write a letter, they talk for 3 minutes, and then the board makes a decision. That's not a great way to do it. I would love to have a citizen advocate, someone who goes between these advocates and says, here's what they're saying, and they're treated in the same way as if they were the one presenting it.
An advisory board per hamlet?
I was thinking per issue, but yeah, per hamlet would make sense also. So you have one on traffic or parking, or but you could do it per hamlet ones also. I know they have. I know in Southold they've done them. I think one you saw was like battery storage, which is a really hot topic right now. That they have an advisory board who they try and sort of rely on the community because people by nature don't trust elected officials. They often trust their residents more. So having a collaboration with residents and community members and community leaders, existing community leaders, is important. So whichever way you can do that by remote town halls, in-person town halls that aren't the town board meetings without violating open meetings law, those are all important things because we can't just keep listening for 3 minutes and making our decisions before we get to the dais. So sorry.
Good. Don't be sorry.
Trying to go as fast as I can.
No, don't do that. You do what you're comfortable with. If you like that, then that's fine. Okay, so we have these 5 questions left. Pick one. Which one do you like?
Take the first one.
First one, tough times for local businesses. We all recognize that the economy, as well as competition from the digital world, has been tough on local mom and pop businesses. What would you do to help them through these tough times? Yeah,
I think that I'm in a great position to help this. It is. Opening a small business is a roller coaster ride. I'm a small business owner. It's a roller coaster ride. So you're worried about where the money's coming from every month. You're worried about advertising. You're worried you're complying with state and town regulations. The town should be focused on promoting small business in the town in a world that has largely switched to big box stores and online retailers. We need to do what we can to promote local small business. I've talked about this before, but I think the town should be investing in incubators for locally owned small businesses that are trying to get off the ground, incentivizing people to come in and rent space from the town in order to operate as an office space for a year before they can see if the business is feasible, and then hopefully incentivize them to stay in Huntington. Businesses that start in Huntington should stay in Huntington. And if the town can assist them in getting off the ground and work with them to expedite the permitting process and give them a place where they can meet clients rather than having to meet them at their house, which often people don't like to do, or have a presentation of an office space rather than only by Zoom, a town-owned incubator will help give those businesses the first step that will then keep them in the town of Huntington. We have vacant space. There's vacant space all up and down, maybe not in the village, there's only 9 vacant storefronts, but if you go down this street, there is plenty of vacant storefront, relatively new storefronts that could be a perfect spot for incubators. Also across Jericho Turnpike and down 110, the turnover on these places, even some big box stores we've seen go under, those are opportunities for the town.
Interesting.
So I really think the town should be. I love local small business.
And
I have local small business.
Right? Doesn't Stony Brook have a bunch of incubators?
I think so, but I don't think they're run. But I think exactly.
But they have multiple ones, and they've been really successful.
Well, the town's diverse, and people who are looking for a business that may be.
There's like culinary ones,
right?
There's
so
technology ones, there's
ones that may make sense to open if you're gonna have a village store would be up here. Ones that may make sense for more industrial space could be down in 110. Places that need storefront on a main strip could be on Jericho. We have so many different areas and business districts in the town. We should be capitalizing on it. What is the town doing for you as a local small business? If the answer is nothing, you're being underserved. And that's my thought. So
Very good.
We go to the next one. How much time do we have?
We're
good. We're really almost done.
Are we done?
It's
Are we
2:43.
So is there 5 minutes
Yeah, we
left?
started late.
Sure.
We started late.
5 minutes.
Pick another one. So they are fiscal responsibility, handicap services, open space and infrastructure, or crime and public safety. There's one question for each.
I'm going to pick, I guess, fiscal responsibility.
That's a big one. That's important. So residents rely on essential town services like road maintenance, sanitation, and parks. Given budget constraints, what is your strategy for making or improving the quality of these services without placing an undue tax burden on homeowners?
Right. The current town has a very strong fiscal rating.
Yeah.
But that comes at the expense of a large surplus. We have a large surplus of money that we're not using to reinvest in the town. I don't know why not. The town board can answer that. They haven't really answered that. But by having a surplus, we preserve fiscal responsibility and also deprive us of improved infrastructure. So it's about going forward on projects that make sense when they make sense. We can talk about the Conti Community Center. That was quoted,
Yes.
almost a decade ago. The town will say, it's too expensive now to do. Well, guess what? We had the money for a decade. We should have done it a decade ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Prices only go up. I will tell you that. Costs increase. If we delay and say, well, we're going to delay, all of a sudden, the way we're at, the job that may have been $10 million, now $13 million.
Right.
You
Exactly.
cannot wait.
That's
The
what
town is there to provide services to the residents, not sit on big piles of money and promote their bond rating. That's not a public service. Who cares about bond rating? We don't need to borrow money. We have a large surplus. We can borrow projects, but it's a shame. We heard it the other day about the dog park on Mill Road next to the Crippen House that was supposed to be converted to an animal shelter. We took bonds out to build an animal shelter connected to Mill Dam Park. You know what happened with that? The town decided they didn't have enough dogs in the animal shelter and it wasn't a good fiscal use. And now we're stuck with those bonds until they expire and we can't redevelop that land because we have existing bonds which act as liens against that real property. So that is going to sit untouched, largely as a eyesore in that area until the bonds expire and another project can be promoted. Why are we quoting jobs that aren't going to be
And
done?
then what happens with that money?
Well, it's a bond, so
It's
it's a loan.
earmarked.
A bond, it's a loan. It's going to go back.
Oh,
They're
you're
gonna
going to
try-
give it back.
Yeah, you're going to be. But the problem is, why are we not pitching
Interesting.
projects that make sense? Why are we not, Mill Dam Park is connected to that. We could be expanding that area and promoting more ball fields for kids. Or, there's a bocce ball court there. I don't know if we need more bocce ball courts, but we could do other things. People love pickleball. There's no tennis in that park. We could be building tennis courts there, but we can't do anything because we've earmarked that money for a job that we've now decided doesn't make sense.
Right.
Fiscal responsibility is crucial, but not at the expense of resident services. And that's not what we're getting. We're not getting what we need from the town. We need to do a better job of serving our community because it's our community. It's my community my whole life. I hope it's my kids' community. I hope it's their kids' community. I hope they say, oh, Dad was a great supervisor in 30 years. But, but I don't know what the future holds. I know that the town isn't doing as much as it could to serve the community.
Right.
And that's important.
So I had an idea that I mentioned to Ed, and being that you're also running for supervisor, I came up with this brilliant idea, Cooper. A community benefits agreement for the new developments being built on the sewer line.
Okay.
Then that money goes to the Conti Center.
Okay. I mean, we have a lot of money for the Conti Center.
I know, but not enough.
No, I know it's not enough. And town will say they're storing general service there. I'm at Manor 4 times a week. My kids play football there. I'm there 4 times a week. There's someone's leisure boat in the back. So general services is great, but what's really being used in that building? I don't know.
Maritime
store.
No. It's not. It's not a maritime boat. It's a bow rider with an inboard outboard that's got a huge mural on the side of flowers. It's someone's personal craft. Now I hate to say that we need to put more money into it because I wish we would have done it 10 years ago. But that'd be phenomenal. I mean, we are going to have such a great opportunity in Huntington Station.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything down there, Manor Field needs to be the bathrooms, the building there. It's run down. It's been left. And I go there. There's not enough parking there for the existing field.
That's true.
People park on the grass every day, almost all the way to Fifth. And they're talking about building a building there rather than redeveloping the Armory now. And if we're going to build a building there instead of the Armory, we're going to have no parking for that. So we just need to come up with a plan. I welcome any idea that reinvest in the community like that.
Great.
And that kind of community benefit
I like
sounds
how
great.
passionate you are about this. It wasn't even your question.
I'm happy. Well, let's go.
Great.
Give me the hard ones.
I like that. That's awesome.
What is this?
I think we're getting the flag, wave. Why don't you do a closing
Okay.
to our friends?
Well, thanks you
And
to
viewers.
Huntington Matters for having me here. I'm so happy to be back.
Yay.
Much nicer atmosphere this time.
Not the warehouse.
Not the warehouse. I said it.
You were in
I
my
was in the
shop.
Yeah.
You were in my husband's shop. Now we have an office.
Now-
It's a bar
without
office.
heat. But
Yeah,
thank you
without
so
heat,
much.
right? Go Huntington Matters.
I love Huntington. I love Huntington. I love living here. This is a surprise to exactly no one that I'm running for local office. Everyone always says this is where you should be trying to do the most. And I hope that you see that. And we may not agree on everything. And you may not agree with what I do, but I hope you listen about me, why I do it. I hope I do it in a way that gives you trust that I'm doing everything transparently at a time when criticism of government in all levels really has never been higher. It's important that you trust elected officials. And quite frankly, as an outsider with no political experience, I bring fresh eyes. We have times where we need fresh eyes in the town board. We can't continue on as the status quo. We're not getting served. We need to come in and start looking at everything critically, not continuing the previous administration or continuing the process. Do you know that 3 of the last 4 supervisors have not been elected to the town board prior to taking the role of supervisor?
You were just talking. I was just talking about that.
I wonder why I brought that up then.
With Ed, no, asking that.
Yeah,
about,
3 of the last
now
4.
that he's been in both roles, did he feel like, just from his experience, you have to serve on town board first to be supervisor? And he said, no, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It makes it easier when you become supervisor, but the town is full of people that will help whoever it is that comes in to take the role.
And it makes it easier because you're already in habits. And sometimes breaking those habits is harder if you're coming in from town board role into the supervisor position. I come in with fresh eyes. I come in with no preconceived notions. I come in wanting what's best for everyone. And I hope that you will trust me with your vote.
And it's a unique personality that can do that, because I would be terrified. I would want to do all the rungs first going up. But that's my personality. But yours, it's like, it's the right personality for that kind of a role and a task in front of you. You know what I mean?
And I think it speaks to
it's a big task.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the ability to listen to others also, right? I don't know the answer, but I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to get people in there who are going to help me and lead it. And that's not a party line. It's not party. It's whoever's the best person to help us accomplish our collective future is the person I need helping me. I need people with specific knowledge on specific issues to help me understand. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. We can talk about zombie houses and financial issues all the time, but I need people to advise me, and I hope you will be those people to advise me, because community involvement is key to local politics.
That's great. Well, neighbors, that was Cooper Macco. This is Cooper Macco. He's running for town supervisor. Election day is November 4th in person. You can early vote October 25th to November 2nd, either at Dix Hills Fire Department or the Huntington Public Library Station branch. Thanks so much. We'll be back in a few hours with our first highway superintendent candidate. Yep, exactly. Vincent is going to be coming and sitting with us. And so thank you so much. Thank you, Cooper.
Thank you.
And thank you, neighbors, for being so engaged, so passionate, and the best neighbors ever.